Good morning. This is a sort of special ad hoc panel tribute prayer that we are offering for a member of the Westchester community. In 1995, when Mike Peich and I did the very first Westchester Poetry Conference, a young man that I sort of met briefly from the South named Wilmer came up because I suggested it. At the same time, from California, the daughter of an acquaintance of mine, Raymond Oliver, Catherine Oliver, came out to the first Westchester conference. Of the many fine things that have come out of this conference, I think nothing finer came out than the fact that these two married and had children. So I think it's something that's a different kind of poetry, to quote Ben Jonson, that was produced here. So Will has been someone who has been a member of this community from the start, and he is terribly ill. I will turn it over to Catherine, who will begin this panel with this sort of poetic prayer meeting, I guess.
And I want to say a special thanks to Kim Bridgeford, who, when I emailed her a week ago, saying a few of us would like to have a gathering for Will and we would like to read a psalm for him, didn't bat an eye. Within 2 hours, I had an answer back from her saying, great, and giving me not one but two ways we could fit it into the schedule. So thank you very much, Kim, for doing that and being so gracious. Like many of you, I met Will Mills here at Westchester, and also I'm sure like many of you, I was hoping and looking forward to seeing him here this year and catching up. This panel is really a way for us to give Will a presence here, even though he can't be present in person. It was immediately inspired by an entry that he made on May 31st, last Tuesday, on the online journal that he's been keeping. He and his wife Catherine have been keeping, documenting his health crisis, and it's an opportunity for them to share news and also to receive support from friends and family members. And he made an entry that I just thought was remarkable. And I want to read a few excerpts from that, and then Dick and Tim are going to share the reading of the Psalm, Psalm 139, and you'll see why we're doing that if you haven't read the entry when I get to the end of it. And then Leslie is going to share one of Will's songs. And I hope there will be a time at the end, and a poem, sorry. And I hope there'll be time at the end for any of you who want to say something. That too. It's from his journal. While in the hospital, Catherine would bring in her computer and read aloud to me the things you have written. This had a powerful effect on me, both your words and the fact of her reading them out loud, giving them flesh in the air. It placed you in real time with me in the same room. I think that if I had read your messages silently to myself, it wouldn't have had the same impact. It literally helped me breathe better and more deeply. After getting home, I'd find myself standing on the back porch, taking deep breaths, intoxicated by air and light and hope. Despite my bleak prognosis, I now see everything in front of me as a space of infinite possibility, within certain limitations, with a full and nourishing sense of time. For the past 10 years or so, it seems that all I think about and write about is time. But something about learning that I have a form of liver cancer that is ultimately incurable has given me an amazing sense of clarity about the subject. As with my mode of writing in traditional metrical verse, the limitation actually leads to the greatest freedom. Your caring, hopeful words within my new limitation of time are also part of the expansive clarity I now feel, and I want to try to make sense of why that is. Since being ill, I have not been able to shave, and it has surprised me how much my beard has turned gray without my knowing it. This, combined with my sallow eyes and hollow cheeks, leaves me looking like a photograph of a Civil War soldier's ghost. It's also striking how this makes me resemble old pictures of my own ancestors. Strangely, this is a comforting realization, as if being face to face with mortality shows me more clearly who I am. It reminds me of something the Southern writer Andrew Little told me once when I was a student. When he turned 95, I asked him how that felt, and he said that the years didn't mean anything because he had already begun to live in the sense of eternity. I know now what he meant. He didn't intend to invoke the Christian heaven or anything theological, but rather a way of being apart from clocks. In Greek thought, there are two ways of viewing time: chronos and kairos. Chronos time is chronological and measurable. Kairos time is more open-ended and expansive, such that one can experience an eternity in a brief instant. It is not a cold finality at all. While we mainly live in chronos time, it is possible to experience kairos as a place in which to abide and to breathe deeply without respect to calendars and deadlines. Too often we live only for the clock and fail to notice how, in the absence of incremental time, we would be more able to see the pattern in the rug, how the stained glass windows of our lives make sense as wholes and not as mere pieces. In the hospital, while I was having blood drawn, tests run, and chemo dripped into me, Catherine often read the Psalms aloud to me in French, the language of her heart. She has done this from time to time during our marriage as well, and it has often struck me as a happy peculiarity of ancient Hebrew that it sounds most beautiful in modern French. But I've been wrong about this. The beauty and power of the Psalms comes both from the truth behind the words and from having them read aloud in any language. This dynamic relates to the strength you have given me with your words and reveals the power of God that has sustained me my whole life. Psalm 139 is one of my favorite psalms, and I'd love for you to ask someone to read it to you out loud. It will likely move you in ways that you could never have expected. Don't be surprised if you feel a new closeness with the person who is reading, or if you find yourself stepping into kairos, where time is full and always right, where every invocation is also the perfect benediction.